We look for private sector investment, not public sector investment. So oftentimes infrastructure spending is a public sector government spending. Those timelines and the certainty of that is uncertain, right? The timelines are super unpredictable. Usually the timelines are just run way past whatever the forecast is. I don't think that government entities are accountable agencies for infrastructure investment. So it makes them undependable. And I'm looking for private sector investment as a signal for as a signal for path of progress, right? And in a lot of these secondary growing markets, it's the private sector that project by project puts in the infrastructure, right? That you might not have the water, the sewer, the electric at your site, and you got to build it into your site. And the next guy in his project, they build it in, they pick it up where you left off, and they run with it to their project, and it gets built effectively by the private sector. I look at Phoenix, and I go back there because we're long on Phoenix, and I think Phoenix is actually a really interesting market. I'm starting to wonder about some of the upside risks there in Phoenix, but like in terms of like private sector investment, you've got Taiwan Semiconductor building chip fabrication plants and spending $25 billion in a single metro. That's a ridiculous amount of money to pump into the system. It means, there's a commitment. There's a huge, commitment that's going to drive a lot of business, which will in turn drive a lot of business demand. And then people are going to get paid, and it's going to drive jobs. It's going to drive housing demand. And and that's just one element that we saw in Phoenix that we like. We also saw the first lithium ion battery manufacturer in the United States go to Phoenix. There's a whole supply chain for electric cars that is getting built in Phoenix. And, we look to a certain extent, you look at history, and everything that's happening, right, has already happened before, right? In a different context, but the world works in sort of cycles. And you look at what happened in the Midwest after World War II with the growth of manufacturing and especially in the auto industry. And I see that happening right now, early stage in Phoenix, right? Every industry and technology ends up running its course. But imagine buying large pieces of land in Michigan, Ohio, in 1945, you'd be doing for the next 30 years, you'd be sitting on a growing gold mine. I think you're seeing the same thing happen in Phoenix. I don't know if I can extrapolate a general rule. I can speak directly to LA, and I know what's happening in LA is that the cost of housing production is so high. Even if you have a metro station, you're still have limitations. You have real limitations that the benefit of that transportation proximity is marginal. It's not big. We have regulation for a percentage of units have to be affordable, and the affordable units have rents at $1 a square foot, and they're going to be 10% of your project. and then the rest of the units are at $4 a square foot, and that's 90%. And you do the weighted average math, and you're blending out like what you thought was $4 rent is really like, $3.80 a square foot or whatever. And that comes out of your bottom line when the cost of production, because you've got to go 2 levels below grade for all the parking, you've got to produce. And it's, what does it cost and how much can you make on it? And it doesn't make sense in LA. There's just challenge after challenge. I mean, even and every one of those rail lines themselves is a great illustration of the uncertainty of depending on public sector infrastructure investment, whether they actually happen or not. Who knows?